I'm Donald Trump. I wrote The Art of the Deal.
I didn't need to do this. You know, I built a great company, one of the great companies. I enjoyed my life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefit of years of successful business deals and businesses.
I was a businessman, very successful.
I've always loved business. I've always been very successful at making money. I'd buy things that would fail, and I'd turn them around, make them successful. And I've been good at it, and that takes a certain ability.
I've made billions and billions of dollars.
I'm really rich.
I'm very rich. I've built an unbelievable company. The money you're talking about is a lot, but it's peanuts for me.
I understand the tax laws better than almost anyone.
We know former President Donald Trump is the ultimate con artist. Still.
I know he's a huckster, but I like...
What does a huckster do?
A huckster tries to get people to buy a line or a concept.
What's another way of saying that?
Another way of saying that's a hypocrite.
To hear MAGA say it and flat out admit that they know they are being lied to is really something. Though let's be clear, this man is one of very few.
A man is campaigning on the fact that he's going to raise your taxes. I haven't seen.
At the end of the day, maybe it's getting a little old to the base.
You expect him to say "Make America Great" in there?
Oh, yeah.
You think he'll say that a bunch of times?
Yep.
Think he'll talk about the wall?
All guaranteed.
You think he'll say he wants to lock people up or whatever?
Only the criminals.
Yeah. But do you feel like the whole thing is getting a little tired, a little bit stale, almost a decade in?
Yeah, a little bit.
Again, shocking. But kudos to the good liars for going out in MAGA land to garner some answers.
It's so crazy that my poll numbers go up. Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
Just a shocking admission, and thus...
So will you trust the election results if Donald Trump wins?
If he wins, yeah.
Will you trust the election results if Kamala Harris wins?
No, I wouldn't. No. No.
But does that bother you to say that?
What's that?
Does that feel sad to say?
Is that what?
Does that feel kind of sad to say that?
No.
Because if Donald Trump wins, you'll trust the election results, but if Kamala Harris wins, you will not.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
All right. There you go.
MAGA beats to his drum when it comes to the facade talking point of election integrity, a farce designed to rile up his base in another conspiracy.
We start tonight with an all too familiar scene in American life. This time in Winder, Georgia, about 50 miles from Atlanta, just 4 weeks into the school year there. Gunfire erupted at Appalachia High School. Here's what we know. At least 4 people are dead, 2 students and 2 teachers, and 9 injured.
Of course, if you thought this news would change their minds on potentially altering how Americans obtain firearms at the direction of the gun lobby buying out Republican politicians.
The mass shootings are because why?
Because we have the Second Amendment that allows us to have guns. A lot of countries don't have the power to get guns as easily as we can, and that's the reason, because there's more
So
guns.
the mass shootings are because of...
More guns, more people, and if you have more guns, more people, more crazy people that have guns, stuff happens. I wouldn't blame the gun. You got to blame.
But you're that's the reason for more gun control, is that more guns, more crazy people, more bad things happen.
I mean, when a crazy person with a gun comes in, how do you take them out? Another gun.
So your answer to the gun issue would be more guns, more people carrying guns.
Well, they are still completely unfazed.
We're learning about an incident that took place when former President Trump visited Arlington National Cemetery for a wreath-laying ceremony on Monday. NPR was the first to report that 2 Trump campaign staffers had a confrontation with a cemetery official who tried to prevent them from filming. Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chung denied portions of the report, saying that no physical altercation occurred, adding that the campaign would be willing to release footage, but that an official had tried to physically block members of the former president's team during the cemetery. Arlington National Cemetery later put out a statement confirming an incident took place and a report had been filed. The statement reads in part this way. Federal law prohibits political campaign or election-related activities within Army National Military Cemeteries to include photographers, content creators, or any other persons attending for purposes or in direct support of a partisan political candidate's campaign.
Remember this preposterous moment amongst many from the Trump campaign?
I have to ask, his team was at Arlington National Cemetery a couple of days ago. They got into a scuffle with an employee of the cemetery because they wanted to film some things for a campaign ad. Do you think that was a good thing or a bad thing of Trump's team to do?
Well, in a way, I think he meant well. Everybody has their roles.
Do you think he meant well? He's just a little stupid?
Yeah.
Apparently, MAGA does as well.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
He didn't, but this is another textbook example of why words matter. And additionally, why it is vital for political parties to anoint a nominee who will not continue to grift the public via false claims. Case in point, these deceitful speeches he has given has led to violence, a la January 6th, and still to this day.
If Trump wins, will you accept the results?
Of course.
If Kamala wins, will you accept the results?
No. No, because it won't be possible. It'll be an absolute canard. Nobody's really voting for
but you gotta, when you listen to yourself say that, that's gotta be a red flag, right?
No, it's not. Listen to what the Democrats say.
So say it again. If Donald Trump wins this election, will you accept the results?
Yes.
If Kamala Harris wins this election, will you accept the results?
No.
I mean, you gotta hear what that sounds like, right?
I don't care what it sounds like, because if they say she wins the election, she didn't win it.
They keep eating it up.
These are nasty people, the Democrats, so we better beat them or we're not going to have a country left. You're not going to have a country left. So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris, Lion, L-Y-I-N apostrophe. The most incompetent and far-left vice president in American history.
Far left? We could only wish.
Donald Trump has had difficulty coming up with nicknames for Kamala Harris. He's got Lion Kamala. He's got Crazy Kamala, I think. He's got Kamabla. None of them are really sticking. Do you have any ideas for nicknames for Kamala? I might regret asking this.
I like Tucker Carlson when he was calling her Carmelo and stuff like that. I like Carmelo.
What did that mean?
I don't know. He just liked to screw her name up because all the libs, the Dems, they hate when you mess up her name and all that. So you can't say how is it? You have to say Kamala, not Kamala. So
the screwing up her name is to get under her skin.
Oh, that could be, yeah.
So what did Tucker say?
He used to say Carmelo, just like that. He'd be like, "We're gonna talk about Carmelo."
Yeah, and
just to get under her skin, like.
And you thought you loved it.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, Tucker was great.
But what's the joke exactly?
I don't know. She's just horrible. She shouldn't even be running right now.
Say it one more time. How he would say it?
Carmelo. You had to hear it from him.
Yeah, one of those had to be there. Yeah, you had to be there.
Yeah. In the moment.
In the moment, it would have been funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's just not funny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
However, the insults and nicknames just aren't sticking like they used to. Racism in America.
Even about myself, if I were starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
It's who we elect as president.
The president tonight apparently uncorking another astonishing statement, complaining to lawmakers in the Oval Office about protections for immigrants. Why do we want these people from, quote, all these whole countries here? According to a Democratic aide familiar with the conversation, Mr. Trump was referring to African nations and Haiti. before suggesting the U.S. should have more people from places like Norway,
which results in violence.
One of the fights he's picking, I think it's reminiscent of what we saw following Charlottesville. The president is using a common talking point from white supremacist communities that black people have less intelligence than white people.
And puts a target on one's back simply because of the color of their skin.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. Kung flu, yeah.
Black athletes have spoken out about this time and time again.
And us, I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but we are scared as black people in America. Black men, black women, black kids, we are terrified. Because you don't know. You have no idea. You have no idea how that cop that day left the house.
We've had Muslims here ever since the inception of the colonies, the British colonies that eventually became the United States. Muslims have been part of and parcel of all this. And the Comte de Lafayette had Moroccan soldiers, both infantry and cavalry, that fought with his contingent. I think people are attacking Islam because they don't understand it, and they don't understand that Muslims here in our country are very happy to be here, and they respect our laws and traditions.
You know, we need lawmakers to change laws. It just goes to show the policing system was built against black people, black and brown people. And that's the reason those reactions are different. That's the reason someone can walk or run or bust their way through or whatever into the Speaker of the House office and put their feet on the desk like they're sitting at home on their couch. And nothing happens. And we, stop calling them people protesters. They're terrorists.
There's a lot of things that need to change. One specifically is police brutality. There's people being murdered unjustly and not being held accountable. Cops are getting paid leave for killing people. That's not right.
And thus we turn to WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. She was on CNBC's Power Lunch and gave an answer that left many, including players, stunned.
Let's go to that question, which raises some sensitivities of rivalries between players. In the case of Angel Reese, who's just had to shut it down because of a wrist injury, Caitlin Clark, who's continuing to play. Rivalry that goes back to their college days, presumably, where I guess some trash talking entered in. But now it seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that, try and tamp it down, or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved, not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about the other?
Well, the one thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another. So the social media is different today than it was in 1979 when it didn't exist. But, I always tell the players, I was told a long time ago, if someone's typing something in and you wouldn't ask their advice, ignore it. So it's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago because they see the benefit of having women and diverse women representing their brand.
To understand how incredibly messed up this answer was, let's turn to WNBA great Breanna Stewart, who told the media after the Liberty's 105-91 win against the Dallas Wings the following.
Like, to be honest, I saw the interview today and then have been in talks with Terry at the WBPA. I think that it's kind of disappointing to hear because, the way that the fans have surged, and especially behind Caitlin and Angel coming to this league, but also bringing like a race aspect to a different level. And, there's no place for that in our sport. And I think that's really it, is we want our sport to be inclusive for race, gender, and really a place where people can be themselves. So we wished, obviously, Kathy would use her platform in a different way and have made that a little bit better, but kind of just telling the fans, like, enough is enough, Become a fan of our sport, and for the new ones, like, lock in on everybody, but don't be disrespectful, because as a league, like, we stick together, and there's no place for that.
A phenomenal answer from Stewie. And it shows, by the way, I don't know if y'all picked up on this, her coach sat back and nodded along. Engelbert's message was tone deaf and ticked off much more than just Breonna Stewart, a legend in the game. WNBA Players Association Executive Director Terry Jackson, seen here, would rebuke Engelbert with a statement of her own that I'm going to read to you. It would show Engelbert's answer on being asked about racism, misogyny, and harassment WNBA players experience, which I'll tell you more about in a moment. The statement would read, quote, "This is not about rivalries or iconic personalities fueling a business model. This kind of toxic fandom should never be tolerated or left unchecked. It demands immediate action and, frankly, should have been addressed long ago. As director of the WNBPA, now in my 9th season, I can say that we wholeheartedly welcome the rising interest in the WNBA over the past few years, particularly the surge in fandom sparked by this electrifying rookie class led by Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. To the loyal fans who have been with the W for decades, thank you for your unwavering support. You know the history of the game and the players. You know us best. And to our new fans, welcome. Your energy and passion are recognized and appreciated. Together with all our fans, we will continue to grow a sustainable and thriving future for the WNBA. But let's be clear. Fandom should lift up the game, not tear down the very people who bring it to life. Racism and the toll it takes on everyone is never tolerable, let alone justifiable, in the name of economic growth. This is about more than just basketball. It's about respect, accountability, and setting the standard for what we will and will not accept in our sport and society. That is beyond strong. The Connecticut Sun's Dejanay Carrington tweeted this GIF, which many people use, above the Engelbert CNBC video. When speaking to the media, she would add, there was a silver platter to address it. Obviously, you can't control what people are going to say, what people are going to do, what people are going to tweet out. You can't control social media, but that has nothing to do with what you can do and using your voice and platform to try to put a stop to it, or to just say, this is not the type of behavior that we endorse as the league. And as the commissioner, who has probably 90% black people or people who identify as black in some way, shape, or form in the league, I think it was kind of eye-opening because the things that we have all experienced this season have been pretty sickening. Again, I'm going to tell you what some have experienced this season in a sec. Queen Egbo of the Aces also took to Twitter and wrote, "It's like, no way she said that, but she did." Breonna Turner, Reese's teammate with the Chicago Sky, would add, quote, I stand against all forms of discrimination, hatred, and bias, especially in reference to sports. The intersection of racism in sports should always be rejected. No platform is too big or too small to stand for the right thing. No excuses. Now, Engelbert saw that she was getting absolutely crushed, and she attempted to play cleanup, tweeting this. During a recent media interview, I was asked about the dark side of social media and online conversations about WNBA rivalries and race. To be clear, there's absolutely no place for hate or racism of any kind in the WNBA or anywhere else. It's also really important to know just how big and bad and disastrous of a flub this was when your workforce, a majority of it, is going against you publicly to condemn what you said. As for those examples, we don't have to go back very far to when Angel Reese voiced that she doesn't believe Caitlin Clark has any hatred toward her, nor does she have any hatred toward Clark. She did acknowledge feeling a lack of respect by some of her supporters, though. Sometimes, she would say, it's very disrespectful. I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe Caitlin Clark stands on any of that, because we know this. In June, Clark made it clear to the media with this quote, "Everybody in our world deserves the same amount of respect. The women in our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas." Let's go back to the hard foul on Clark by Kennedy Carter, when somehow, some way, for whatever reason, it was pushed as a national story and like everyone had a take on it. So that happened, right? Carter, who committed the hard foul, recalled when one fan labeled her, and I quote, a ghetto blank B word. From Yahoo, Diamond DeShields shared a post of someone saying they hoped her spinal tumor would come back. There is a cause and effect here, and many of the players suffered that effect in real time. To give an idea how far this thing reached, politicians, athletes, media personalities, and even editorial boards weighed in on this debate. Las Vegas Aces player Alicia Clark despised Engelbert's comments as well. It's taken a darker turn in terms of the types of comments and the vitriol that's coming through to the players, and it's not okay. I wish the commissioner would have just said that. It's not okay. At the end of the day, when we take these uniforms off, we're human beings. And that doesn't mean because we're athletes, we are automatically just allowed to be subjected to those types of comments and hate. And so I think there was a real missed opportunity to shut that down and just be like, we don't condone any of that. Kelsey Plum would put it as simple as this. It's pretty clear there's a difference between rivalries and racism. Big difference. Yeah, there is. When someone asks you, how do you feel? Not only over the renewed interest in your league and the additional interest in your league, and stadiums, arenas selling out, viewership being up, but it comes at a cost of the players suffering from racism and misogyny. And your answer, not even as a sports consumer, not even as a fan, not even as a team employee, but the commissioner of the WNBA is, well, you know, what can I say? Part of the product. That's insane. To then equate, to not even address it, and then to say, well, you know, revenue's up. It shows, no matter what, those that are on that side of the aisle, which is just an unbelievably high pedestal in society. It's below the billionaire class, but you work for them, who control these teams, no matter the sport. To go to, well, rivalries are great, aren't they? Insane. Insane. Would it surprise me if Engelbert were to no longer be commissioner in some time? I don't know how long that would be. But would it shock me because of this? No, it would not. Because it shows once again where the priorities lie when it comes to big-time sports. It's not about the players' well-being. It is not about the players' safety. It is not about the vitriol and racism and misogyny that they suffer. It is, in Stephen A's words, how he broke into media as a whole, it's about the money. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.